Hey guys, my name is Eric. This is going to be my first video talking about pot limit Omaha and why I believe smart poker players are making the switch to PLO and why no limit is slowly dying. Hopefully, in this presentation series, I can give you free informational insight about the great game of pot limit Omaha. So let's get into it. All right. All right, so who am I? My name is Eric. I dropped out of college in 2021 to pursue poker full time. The way I got into it was because COVID was happening, and so because everyone was bored and locked at home, I was trying to find a way to make money. Uh, there's just nothing to do, and I actually instead of going home for COVID, literally everyone went home. I found out about poker and I told my parents I didn't want to go home. And I just stayed in my dorm room playing these online club games that were popping off during COVID. And so that's how I got into poker. During that time, I turned my $1,000 bankroll that I saved up from Olive Garden into just like over $200,000. And so, yeah, the past few years, I've made seven figures since then. I played in all sorts of games and formats, and I have a ton of experience in poker. That's pretty much all I've been doing for the past 5, 6 years at this point. And I was able to build an unconventional career outside the traditional system. I was able to, have freedom and leverage in my life and independence that a job, frankly, just does not give you, like a traditional 9 to 5. And now I am deciding to teach the great game of poker to other people who are interested in this sort of non-traditional career path. Okay, so I'm not a LARP. I won last year. I won just over $500,000 in PLO. I should have put some graphs here. This is my first time using this app called Gamma, but I can include some graphs in the next slideshow. I won most of it in live private games that I cannot really disclose, but I also played a ton of live public games at Parks, Casino in Philly. I also played online public games in Jersey, and I also played MTTs where I had results beating up to 10K PLOs. And I did also not even play full time like last year. I took multiple months off to travel, and I was still able to make over $500,000. So that just goes to show you that there's a ton of money still in PLO, and the games are not drying up anytime soon, and we'll get into that. Online, I've beaten up to 5K and 10K MTTs, and I've also worked with who I believe is the top PLO cash game reg, let me specify, in America. So why PLO is a better opportunity right now? Most pro poker players never even think about making the switch to playing No Limit, right? No Limit is a very safe, easy. There's so much resources about No Limit online, which is why No Limit is tougher and tougher to get an edge because the recreational players are getting better and better each year, and they're not making the same mistakes they were when I first started out, right? And the biggest edge you can get in poker is when your recreational players are making pre-flop mistakes. But because No Limit pre-flop is just a 13 by 13 grid, it's actually quite easy to study pre-flop as a recreational player, and you won't find recreational players really screwing up pre-flop as much as as they were 5 years ago, and definitely far less than in PLO. And why PLO you have such a big edge? Because pre-flop is such a big learning curve, right? And most players, including pros, won't even push through it, and that's your edge, right? And this is why PLO is going to be soft for years. And I believe PLO will be soft for years. I believe PLO 5 will literally be soft forever because if you actually load up a PLO 5 solver, it literally takes a few seconds just to load the solution, and there's no way your recreational poker players are going to be looking at those. So PLO is going to be I believe is like the bread and butter cash game. If you know how to play PLO, you'll have access to soft live games, soft online games. Your journey as a poker pro will be so much easier. And if I could go back in time, I'd only play PLO, to be honest. All right, so other reasons why. right? Again, no limits, heavily studied, largely solved, saturated with grinders and solvers. I mean, there's just like top to bottom, no limit content out there. And because the game tree is much less complex than PLO, it's quite easy for recreationals to at least not make as many mistakes on earlier streets, right? And you need to put in a ton of volume. You're playing, and people also, if you just start poker, you're competing with guys who are in the game for 10, 20 years. Like, it doesn't matter how smart you are, it's very hard to overcome that sort of skill gap. That being said, in Pot Limit Omaha, still there's not that many pros playing it, and even the pros are playing very bad. It's complex enough to stay uh, for people to make a lot of pre-flop mistakes. I wouldn't say unsolved, but a lot of pre-flop mistakes, and even pros are making a ton of pre-flop mistakes that you would not find anywhere close to in No Limit. Action's heavy, bigger pots, bigger swings. That means pros also play a lot worse because there are bigger swings. So even pros you'll see are playing terribly. They go in tilt. Some of the pros I was playing at 50, 100 live literally could not beat 1-2 PLO online. You will not see that sort of stuff going on in No Limit. And yeah, it's beatable at every level. So why am I doing this? My honest motivation for teaching PLO for a very cheap, almost free price is simply because I personally struggled throughout my poker career to navigate the poker ecosystem correctly. There was a lot of traps and pitfalls and people I had to deal with. And my goal with this YouTube channel is not just to teach you the technicalities of poker, but also make sure you as a poker player do not fall into the same pitfalls that or traps that I've seen other poker players and myself fall into. So I really, really want people to stay safe in the poker ecosystem. I believe poker, if done correctly, is a great learning game. The problem is too many people simply just bust their balls in the poker ecosystem, and it's very easy to get lost in the sauce. And I really, really do not want to see that happening to anyone who watches my content. And I don't think there's any sort of coaching, like holistic coaching like this. And I truly believe that these sort of soft skills are way more important than the technical aspect of poker, right? If you see like a guy like Stefan, one of the best poker players ever, but he had his crypto uh, wallet stolen, and now he lost his whole bankroll. And so one of the best poker players literally just busted his balls just because he was insecure about his funds. And it doesn't matter how good you are in poker if you're just busting your balls, you're not going to make any money, and you're actually going to just go bust. So I'm also tired of hiding my identity to get in games. I never enjoyed the fact that it was incentivized for a pro to lie about himself being a pro. I think that's pretty dishonest, and I think it's pretty dumb, to be honest. Like, I am not ashamed of being a pro. I chose to do this path. I wanted to do it to the best of my ability, and it made no sense for me to, get hate on being pro. And I know how difficult it is as a pro. So I'm here to like kind of stand up for pros because that was who I was for the past 5, 6 years. I'm really tired of the private game politics and the grind of staying anonymous. And what I want now is to transfer a skill set that has made me hundreds of thousands per year and 7 figures lifetime and help students build real income that can replace their traditional job. Because ultimately, poker for me was just a vehicle so I could not do school and not be like a sheep like everyone else, because I never wanted to work a 9 to 5. And that somehow, I don't know why that blows people's minds. I don't think it's crazy to not want to work a 9 to 5. I don't think we work best as a 9 to 5. I like to work on the topics I like to do. I don't like being told what to do. I like to work my hours. And for some reason, if you go against the grain and tell people you don't want to work a 9 to 5, they look at you crazy. But as I grow up, I realize most of these people are very, very miserable in their 9 to 5, and they have no choice because they never took 2 seconds to sit down and think about what they actually want out of life. And for me, what I want out of life, I'll just be straight up. I want to make a lot of money so I can be financially free, and I want to have freedom with my time. And poker gave me both of those. So the window is still open for now. I believe PLO games will stay good for at least 5 years, if not forever. The question isn't whether the opportunity exists, it's whether you will be ready to take it when most players are still sleeping on it, right? The earlier you learn the game, the more edge you will have over opponents who are slower. And yeah, like I said, even at the highest stakes, it's not like no limit. Like at no limit high stakes, it's like builds across like one whale, and the whole table will fill up with the best pros. At PLO high stakes, it's like a bunch of shit regs and a few sharp pros and still like multiple whales, and it's like uncontested money, and it's bigger and it runs more consistently, at least at my local casino. And yeah, so if you're interested in coaching, I will link my coaching down below. This is kind of my first Loom video, so hopefully it wasn't too bad. I'll see you guys there. Peace.